Good morning again. I lost connection. Back with you. Feeling very, very blessed getting to walk the beach in the sun. And I'm not the only one. There's heaps of people out here today. Thought I'd hop on because just had some amazing insights with a lady online. One of the things I love about my life is being able to give people guidance. Not telling them what I think they should do, but sitting with them, sitting in their energetic field and receiving information for them that also feels right for them. That's how you know if you're getting a good reading. It should feel right with you. You know, you'll feel it in your heart, you may feel it in your other energy centers, but there's a sense of that feels right, that feels good. And there's a situation after the reading where the person is so grateful because you've just given them that clarity. And I love doing it because it gets me out of my own head, it gets me out of my little individual worries and cares. Oh, look at this gorgeous little fella. Hello. Hello. How are you? And I inevitably receive guidance myself. So as I'm doing a reading for somebody else, I get guidance for me. And this particular reading, there were so many little golden nuggets that I think you might find useful. One of the first ones was that we can't truly help another if we don't understand truly how they feel. And the insight I was shown very, very clearly is that often we think we are feeling how the other person feels, but we're not. We're imagining how we would feel if we were in their situation, which is completely different from feeling how they feel in their situation. All right, so if there is somebody in your life at the moment that you're having trouble relating to, getting on with, influencing, chances are the reason for that is you've been stepping into their shoes as you. You've been putting yourself in their situation as you, and you are not them. So if you really want to get on the same wavelength with that other person, you've got to imagine yourself as them in that situation. That was huge for me. It was like, and that was what happened for me with my client. I was actually in my client's life as my client, and that's why I could see everything so clearly. And so if you're any kind of therapist or working with people with a modality that's about helping people, we've really got to develop that ability to imagine ourselves as that person. And it's an old Native American setting, never judge a person till you've walked a mile in their moccasins. But what we've tended to do is put ourselves in their situation, and then we come up with what we would do in that situation. Now this has massive implications for like all aspects of life, whether it's finances, relationships, career, friendships. Learn to do this. Now the next insight or teaching was that what stops us from doing that, and it's our identification with our story. We build and sustain our sense of self, our self-esteem, by telling ourselves stories about who we are. And we tend to focus, I've just got the waves coming up around my ankles. I'm just needing to pull up my leggings because I don't want to be where all the people are. Only because I don't want to intrude on their space. I'm going out into the paddle. So we have got our sense of self that we tell ourselves and perpetually tell ourselves. And you know what? We are biased. We are so biased. We ignore those times that were unkind or not helpful. And we think of ourselves as a kind person because we easily recall all those times that we were patient, tolerant, kind, loving. And we completely forget all those times we were in a mood or a grump. So we're totally biased, and we hold on to that sense of self. And we need to start observing and examining the story we tell ourselves about who we are so that we can become less identified with it. All right, that's a biggie. We're not going to fix that one today. So, that's 2 insights so far. Next insight. Yeah, this was a real biggie. The group of beings that I was working with this lady are called the Angels of Karma, or the Lords of Karma. There's a book by Diane Stein called We Are the Angels, where she explains about the Lords of Karma. And I do workshops working with the angels where I teach you how to work with them. But I learnt this today that I never knew before. So the lady I was working with had got something happening in her life that was a negative thing, that wasn't her fault. Right. One of the things we all need to bring into our awareness, we all need to stand back from our lives from time to time and look at, okay, what's showing up in my life? What are the bits I'm responsible for, accountable for? And what is somebody else that's, doing something in my experience of life? Because some of the stuff that shows up in your life, it's not your fault. All right, somebody else is being a dick, somebody else has got some baggage, somebody else is being mean, unkind, unhelpful, not cooperative. That's them creating in your experience of reality. The bit you have control over is how you respond, react to that other person. And generally speaking, a reaction is a knee-jerk reaction that is your pattern that you can bring into your awareness and change, whereas a response is, okay, I know they're having a hard time, I know they're sending negative energy, I'm going to do this. And sometimes it's avoidance, sometimes it's not connecting with that person, or sometimes it's being kind or whatever. So from time to time, we do need to stand back from our lives and look at what are the bits I'm responsible for and what is somebody else creating in my reality. And so if you are at a time in your life where you need to do that, where you need to just take a breath, stand back, look at what's happening and why, then book yourself either a guidance or a coaching call with me, because I can help you get that clarity really quickly. Now, this is the beautiful thing that I learned today, which is my number one reason for hopping on this live, is that when you've identified what is showing up in your life that you have not created but somebody else has, then we can invite the Angels of Karma not only to put that right, but to address, like the particular lady I was with, she'd had this situation for years. And once it's put right, we need to adjust our experience of life as though that thing had never happened. Now, I never knew it was possible to do that. All right, now there are some parameters on what's possible, but on this particular situation, it was possible to change some aspects. So, for example, financially, she will have been disadvantaged through whatever happened. Karmically, that can be put right quite quickly. There were skills that she would have developed had she not gone down the path she did, had that thing not happened. Those skills can't be acquired overnight, so that's going to take longer, but she can be supported in that journey. So I've worked with the Angels of Karma previously, but I never understood that not only can they help release the karma, but they can help put your life back on the correct timeline for if that thing had never happened. All right, very, very excited about that. So, yeah, hope you found the information I've shared useful. Yeah, give me a like or a thumbs up if you found that a useful session. But this is something I'm going to start doing increasingly. Is I get so many insights when I work for people, and I'm going to start hopping on lives and actually sharing the insights without breaching anybody's privacy, but they're things that we all need to know. And so number one lesson today is take stock. Look at your life, look at what's showing up, what are the bits you like, what are the bits you don't like, and then work out which are the bits I'm responsible for, which are the bits I can change, which are the bits are consequences of somebody else's action. And then let's call on the Angels of Karma. You can either get the book, We Are the Angels by Diane Stein, she also wrote Essential Reiki, or have a session with me and I will walk you through that process. All right, because it's time that we did all step into our power. We do all need to become more conscious. We need to understand how this whole thing works, so that we can free ourselves from the systems that humans have put in place that are limiting us all. Now, one more insight I'm going to share. This was personal for me, because many of you will know that I've got the thing in Wellington with a police officer. So police officer broke my sternum in Wellington at the Freedom Convoy. IPCA, the Independent Police Conduct Authority, are investigating. I've sat on my witness testimony against the police officers involved, because one assaulted me, one broke my sternum, 3 then more assaulted me. I've also got a wrongful arrest, wrongful detention, and I've got a police officer that's already perjured herself on some paperwork. So I've got a lot to pursue, but I've sat on it for 2 weeks because, number one, I don't want necessarily the young lady that broke my sternum to go to jail. And that level of assault, it would be jail, not just loss of job, it would be jail. It would be a criminal offence. She's assaulted me with no good reason. She might be a really good copper, she might be a really nice lady, she might be a mother, you know. There's lots I need to know before I go down this path. But I also want the woman held accountable for her actions. She's accountable for her actions. But what's the circumstances of that action? Was she terrified? Was she under a lot of pressure? You know, was she a cadet? I don't know. There's lots of questions that I have. And so I've realised that my reason for my tardiness with submitting my complaint is I've got a lot of questions I have to ask, like what's going to happen? What's the consequences? Who is this woman? Yes, I absolutely have to do what's right in terms of keeping people accountable, otherwise things don't change. But there's a bigger picture here. And so while I was doing this reading for this lady, there was an overlap with something in her life. So somebody has done something negative against her, or she's experienced a negative situation through no fault of her own. That's a fairer description. She's not taking it personally. She wants it remedied, and she wants it put back to how her life would have been had that thing not happened. Fair dues. That's what I'm wanting here. I'm not taking it personally. It could have happened to anybody. The fact it happened to me is significant, of course, because I've got the intellect, the knowledge, the willpower to hold people accountable in a fair and just way. I want to expose the lack of transparency of the government, the unlawfulness of the laws that were passed. The COVID-19 was not a lawful act. The falsehoods portrayed by the media, there's a lot that I want to expose. That's my agenda. It's not about getting this woman sent to jail. She does need to be accountable, but there's a bigger picture that we need to uncover. And so, oh, no sound, says Francoise. That could be because the waves are so goddamn loud, could it? Don't know. I'm walking back now because it's starting to get deep. I'm going to need to roll up my leggings. So the more we bring conscious awareness in, and the more we can be clear on what is it we want, what is it I want from this. I know what I don't want. What I do want is, I do want an inquiry, and I want a public inquiry, because there's lots of factors that need to be brought in. For example, the police weren't wearing their hats. All right, the police on their hats have one little crest, which has the letters NZP, 2 ferns and a crown. And when they've got their hat on, they're under that jurisdiction. But when they remove their hat, that jurisdiction's gone. And they've got a little badge on their shoulder, which has an animal, sheaf of corn, tools, 3 ships on, and some stars. It's got a crown, it's got Britannia, not Britannia's on there, New Zealandia is on, a female, and there's a Maori chief, and above that is the crown. So the crown is top, according to that coat of arms, and then it's clear from that coat of arms that what's being harvested in New Zealand is the animals, the crops, the people, our labour, and the minerals. And it's all being harvested via New Zealandia and Maori for the crown. And I'd like that to be exposed. I'd like to ask some questions about that. I also want to ask some questions about, you know, the pepper spraying. You know, if somebody pepper sprays you, that's assault. What were the police doing? Assaulting people. So it's not just about me, it's about the whole thing. It's the whole thing that happened there. And, you know, why is it that the government has given the IPCA 3.5 million to investigate? The IPCA are supposed to be independent with an independent judge. All right, when I look at IPCA paperwork, I see on there the little symbol that's on the police officer's hat, and ZP, 2 ferns, a crown, and I also see the emblem that's on the shoulders. Oh, do the police operate under 2 jurisdictions? Of course they do, otherwise the emblem would be the same. Why is the emblem not the same? There's lots of questions we need to ask. And if what happened to me can get all of that uncovered, then that's going to be a win. Yep, Janine's just commenting. So the police's paperwork says that they should not use pepper spray on crowds. They should provide medical support to those people that are pepper sprayed. And that pepper spray is an assault. It should only be used in extreme circumstances. We had a peaceful crowd there. Nobody was committing any crimes. So the police assaulted New Zealanders, and it does all need to be exposed. It was horrific what happened that day. Amanda said, not assault if a pepper. It is, Amanda, we've seen the paperwork. Go over onto Sue Gray's page. She's got all the paperwork. It is assault. Of course it's assault. I mean, it hurts like fuck. Have you seen the videos? Excuse my language. I managed to avoid the pepper spray. That was the last thing I needed. Oh, lovely. Misford. To understand who we are now. No, I'm really good at not good at pronouncing things. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. That goes back to 1806. 100 chiefs signed that documentation. We need 50,000 people to become adopted into the local Maori iwi. As a Pakeha, you are Wiki Victoria. I think that's how it's pronounced. And we can have a government here that is run by the people for the people. So yeah, look at Misford's link. That's it. Can't understand that last minute there, that last comment there. All right, so life's good, eh? Aren't I blessed living at the beach? Seriously, doesn't get any better than this. Love it, love it, love it. And I'm not the only one enjoying that beach today. We've got a full beach. So humanity's waking up. We're becoming more conscious, more aware. We've got to realise what bits am I responsible for, which bits am I not responsible for. The bit we've been responsible for is, guys, we've been asleep. We've trusted our governments, we've trusted the media, until little by little we realised, what the hell? And for me, that was the greatest gift of Wellington, was that New Zealanders, most people had a family member there, a friend there, that came back saying, no, it's amazing. There's just such a lovely spirit there. It's so peaceful, it's so calm. And then you've got the media and the government calling it a sea of shit and saying, you know, people aren't safe to walk the streets. Absolute bullshit. Well, that needs to be exposed big time. And so that's my next little phase moving forwards, is exposing the reality and exposing all the lies that were told. But feeling good. Did a great session on Sunday night, What on Earth is Happening. We looked there at what is common law and what is the legal system. You do need to get up to speed with that. You do need to know your rights. So moving forwards for humanity, we've got 2 things. One is keeping people accountable. Everybody has to be held accountable. All the members of Parliament that didn't talk to the people, they're each accountable. Fancy signing a deal not to talk to the public. They're MPs, they represent the people. What is going on? So everybody's got to be held accountable, but we've got to understand what are our rights. And our rights are fundamental rights. We don't actually need any legislation. You have the right of free speech. You have got the right not to have an experimental thing put in your arm. You have a right not to walk around in a paper nappy. Yeah, you've got the right to walk outdoors when you wish. Cool. Yeah, Amanda's talking about connecting consciousness. They had a 5-minute laser light meditation to wake the planet up. That was great. I managed to get the last 4 minutes of that. It was awesome. Could really feel that energy. We need another shift. There's another tranche of people need waking up. Not terrifying, mind you. Does get scary, doesn't it, when you see everything that's been going on here. The world is not getting worse. It's just all being exposed. And we're getting ready for that next phase. And what Misford shared about the 100 chiefs, we need 50,000 people. That, I reckon, is our best way forward at this point in time. So do look into that. I'll put a link for it down below. Bye, guys.